fastest lap of the session.
All right, let's take a look at that. So this is going to be first lap. I'm sure you can do either lap. I don't think it matters too much. So come out of the pits, and then our warm up, just get right by the wall and then try to turn off of the wall as quick as possible so that as you turn off, you see how like my car almost draws a straight line back down to the yellow. This way, I can get my steering wheel like pretty much straight by the time the straightaway starts. If you were to stay by the wall the entire time, you'd still be like super turned and not able to put the power down. So really make sure you get this turn off the wall. And when you get that turn off the wall, bring it all the way down and then straighten out your wheel as early as possible when you go full throttle. And then very important, you need to really get your car situated as close to the wall as possible because we are going for a wide entry, but early. So I'm going for like a pretty early apex, maybe a little bit before the center of the corner, but do you see how wide I bring it down? So I'm doing a high brake bias here because I just want to get this angle from my steering wheel because it's hot lap and it's Sobo. You don't need to worry about your tires too much. So my braking, I started doing 2 stages. While we're still on what's technically the straightaway, I brake in a straight line down to the yellow line with about 30%, I would call that. Then once I get down to the yellow line, about halfway there, I'll back off my brake down to about 10 to 5%. And then I just pulled that brake until the car sticks to the yellow without me having to turn my hands anymore. So you see the moment I stop turning my hands, you'll see hands to the left under braking. Left braking is going to the left, it's going to the left. Now the hands are going back to the right, and that's when the throttle comes in. So as your steering wheel is going to the left, you should be under braking, and as your steering wheel goes to the right, you should be under throttle. Now notice I don't pick up full throttle immediately, pick up about half, call that half 60%. And then as I unload the wheel, full throttle. And notice I don't go full throttle until my wheel makes this unloading motion. All right, same exact idea, 3 and 4, same line, same goals. I kind of missed it a little bit here. It's really hard to get this wide entry into 3 and 4, in my opinion, because you're not as like set up as well as you were coming out to the green. But I still bring it down to the yellow, drag brake, pick up the throttle, and start unloading the wheel. And then as my wheel gets fully turned, full throttle. So while we're still on the straightaway, brake 30 to 40%. As we start turning, we back it down to 10 to 5-ish, 10 to 15%. Then pick up half throttle as we start unloading our hands. And then as we fully unload our hands, we can go full throttle. Pretty straightforward, but definitely will take some practice. Alrighty, now let's take a look at long run. All right, let's talk about long run. So it's going to be our first short track experience on the new dynamic track, oval refresh, whatever you call it. And the thing about South Boston is I just don't know if the top is going to work. How it is the way it starts here is that you really do like those late entries to begin with, so it might slick off to the point where running the middle actually becomes competitive, but just knowing how bottom groove Sobo is normally, I just can't personally see a race where the best line becomes somewhere besides the bottom. I could be proven wrong, but I'll run a couple laps here. I got the track a little bit slicked in just from some practice laps. This isn't going to be the full effect, of course. But you see here, pretty much the same line as my qualifying line. I'm a little more patient getting back to throttle. I'm not trying to get full throttle until very late. So you see like, okay, let's run like a top here. It's okay. I'm losing like a 10th per corner over what I could be running on the bottom. And especially off of 4, I just don't feel like, I feel like I have to wait way too long off of 4. Off of 1 and 2, I have a feeling it could be okay. Let me go to this actually. Never mind this lap here. Oops. So the big things going into this race are going to be to keep your rear tires cool and actually that's really the only big thing. In these short tracks in the ARCA car, it's all about keeping the rear tires cool. And how you do that is you just make sure not to go full throttle until your wheel is like completely straight. You don't want to brake too hard on entry, or else you'll start sliding the rears, and you don't want to go full throttle until your car is like completely straight off the corner. You can pick up the throttle like to half to 3/4, what have you, but full throttle should be when you're straight. You really barely gain any time if you go full throttle earlier than that. But if you're not unloading your wheel or not completely straight already, you should not be going full throttle. That's how people spin out on these short tracks. That's how people destroy their rear tires on short tracks. So you can do tons and tons of laps like this. You don't even have to hit the bottom really. You just have to get kind of to the bottom. The yellow line's a little bit scary at this track. Let me try the top one more time. No, I just don't feel it, man. Maybe if I enter really high and like do a really late arc, that could work. Let me try a lap at the bottom again to get the relative back. Let's see, 10th and a half, just from rolling the bottom. Even this middle is a lot better than the top. Okay, so now start really high, but like brake a ton and then point the car low. So that line might become competitive later on. If you need some entry grip, you kind of enter up top and then just brake and turn all the way to the bottom. That's not the least competitive thing I've ever seen. But if you're able to stick this bottom, it's just, there's not going to be a better option than it, in my opinion. Early entry, stick to the yellow line, roll the bottom, pick up your throttle but not to full, and then full throttle once you're off the corner. That's going to be the way that you want to do this. You saw how lines like can get kind of close, but all those are going to heat up your tires more than this bottom line will, unless the bottom becomes really slick on entry. If the bottom is becoming really slick on entry and it's not like a problem of you braking too late, I think that it might have that late apex to it, and then I just think that the top is too slow. So let's go check the tires. 97. Okay, so a little bit of right front. That's good at tracks like this. You really do want to wear the right front at these tracks because you don't ask too much of them on corner entry. It's all about keeping that rear tire cool, and we were doing that. So rolling the bottom, A+ for me. All right, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.